name is Melissa Meredith, your host for the Daily Wellness Podcast. If your day could use a dose of healthy living inspiration, you're in the right place. Call me a crunchy mom, health nerd, whatever. I'm just a normal mom trying to do what's best for her family, and I happen to love talking about all things health and wellness. Join me as we learn from like-minded people, change the health legacy of our families, and take our wellness to the next level. Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. Sour cream, how many grocery stores I shop at, and 5 bags of kale. Somehow I managed to talk about all of those things in this episode as I share my grocery store tips for health-conscious shoppers. We want to remind you that we're giving away a $100 gift card when we get 100 positive reviews. So if this episode is helpful for you, please leave a raving review and we'll make sure that you're entered into that drawing. Here's your dose of daily wellness. Today, we are going to talk about grocery shopping. I know that sounds silly because everyone knows how to grocery shop, right? But when you decide to prioritize your health, when you decide you are ready to buy, prepare, and eat real nutritious food, shopping at the grocery store becomes a whole new beast. I have been grocery shopping as an adult for more than 2 decades, but about 10 years ago, when we decided to change the health of our family, and we decided that we really wanted to stop eating processed foods, especially at home, I suddenly went to the grocery store and felt like I had no idea what I was doing. I was full of questions. Where are the healthy foods in this grocery store? What nutritious food can I buy that my kids will actually eat? Do I need to buy organic? What are all these ingredients? What brands can I trust? And so on and so on and so on. You know, we tend to be creatures of habit. So when we go to the grocery store, we get the foods that we are used to getting in the spots that we are used to getting them from, and then we leave. But if you are changing the way that you are eating, then the grocery store routine has to change as well. And for me, that was a little overwhelming. At one point, I remember going into my favorite grocery store with the goal of buying healthy food. I had my list ready, I had my mindset, and I ended up in tears in the dry goods section. I had such a strong desire to do this good thing for my family, but I was overwhelmed with all of the new choices. I was unsure of how to plan and buy for a week's worth of healthy meals. And I wanted to do all of this while staying within our grocery budget, so I had that on my mind as well. But now, with a decade of experience shopping for real nutritious food that I prepare for my family, I can tell you that grocery shopping for a healthy lifestyle is completely within your grasp, and it can become second nature to you. Before we get into my tips for health-conscious grocery shopping, I have an interesting fact to share about myself. I guess I don't know for sure what the average number is for how many grocery stores people tend to shop at, but I shop at 7 local grocery stores. I shop at the farmer's market, and I shop several places online, all for food. And that seems ridiculous, like even to myself, and it's definitely not going to be one of my tips. It's not something I recommend. I really only go to 2 or 3 places weekly, and the rest of those maybe once a month or so. But I share that because I think the fact that I go to a lot of different stores and I actually enjoy grocery shopping makes me extra qualified to share these tips. Or, maybe it just makes me crazy. I'll let you be the judge of that, but here we go with the tips. Tip number 1 is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. I don't know if you have thought about the way that grocery stores are laid out, and this is not a very specific rule, it's a general rule, but in general, you want to shop the perimeter of the grocery store because that is where most of the whole foods are. So most of the processed foods are in the middle. Most of the whole foods are around the outside. Now, if I walk into the grocery store I go to most often, the produce is right there on my right. And then if I follow the outside wall of the grocery store, it goes produce, and then it goes to the dairy, it has eggs, and then it has the meats, and then it has like a bakery section. So there's really nothing in the bakery section of this specific grocery store that is very healthy. So that's an example of where shopping the perimeter doesn't always work. But in general, most of the food that I want to buy for my family is going to be in that outer section of the grocery store. Now, like I said, it's not a hard and fast rule because I can go to the middle of the grocery store for some things. I can get whole grains, I can get whole grain pasta, I can get marinara sauce, and different things like that. So just keep this in mind that most of the food that you want to buy, if you're trying to buy whole foods, unprocessed foods, are going to be around the outside of your grocery store. So start there and fill up your cart with mostly whole foods from the perimeter of the store. Tip number 2 is to read ingredients. I know this sounds silly, but you really need to read the ingredients on everything that you're buying if you're shopping on the outside of the store or if you're shopping in those middle aisles especially. Read the ingredients on everything. You would be so surprised at the ingredients that some products have. It's been one of the most eye-opening things for me. One of the most beneficial things that I have done for my health and for my family's health is to read the ingredients of the things that I am buying. You know, you would think sour cream is just soured cream, but it's not. And different brands of sour cream have different, amounts of ingredients and kinds of ingredients. After you do this for a while, you will get to know what brands are best, where the products that you want to buy are located. But in the beginning, it's going to take a little bit of extra time to stop and read ingredients. So do give yourself that extra time that you need. When I'm looking at ingredients, I'm asking myself, are these things that I recognize? Are these real food ingredients? Can I pronounce the ingredients? Does it have inflammatory oils? Does it have white sugar, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners? Does it have inflammatory oils? Is there MSG or hidden MSG? And I know all of this is really hard to decipher if you are new to shopping for whole, real food. But over time, I promise this will get easier, you will get used to it, and you will become an educated shopper. I would encourage you to do this with your kids too. Bring them to the grocery store with you. Let them read the ingredient labels. You guys can talk about the ingredients. You can decide if it's something that you do want your family to eat. If you don't, why do you want to buy it? Why do you not want to buy it? Why are the ingredients good? Why are they bad? And you guys can learn together. Our family kind of has a joke about this now because if my kids find something in the store that they want to purchase, instead of automatically asking, "Mom, can we buy this?" they know to read the ingredients first because that's the first question I'm going to ask. Have you read the ingredients? What are the ingredients? And they can tell a lot of times if mom is going to say yes or no just based on the fact of what the ingredients are. This connects back to tip number 1 a little bit as well, because if you're shopping the perimeter of the store, there are less ingredient labels to read. I mean, there's not an ingredient label on eggs because it's just eggs. There's not an ingredient label on broccoli because it's just broccoli. So it also makes it a lot easier ingredient-wise when you're shopping the perimeter. Tip number 3 is to meal plan before you shop. I think back to my early days of being married, of course, when I was single too, but even in my early days of being married, I would work, and on my way home from work, I would think about what I wanted for dinner, and I would stop at the grocery store and I would get those ingredients, and then I would make that. Well, when we started having kids, that became very unrealistic, obviously. So for many years now, I have been meal planning before I go to the grocery store. I'll take inventory of what I already have at home, things that I need to use up, and then I will go to the grocery store and get the ingredients that I need for the meal plan for the rest of the week. For me, I do it a week at a time. I know some of you super moms do like a month at a time or 2 weeks at a time, and I've never been able to do that. Send me all of your tips on that. But I make a meal plan for a week at a time, and then I go to the grocery store and get the specific things that I need for that. One reason I do that is because we eat a lot of fresh produce, and you don't want to buy like fresh produce like 3 weeks out. It's a little bit harder to keep all of your produce fresh for that long. I mean, if you want to wing it and go to the grocery store and just figure it out when you're there, by all means, go for it. But that really stresses me out. I love having a meal plan. So I have my meal plan. I go to the grocery store, get the things that I need for that meal plan, thinking 1 week at a time. and it helps me out a lot. I can get in and out of the grocery store a lot faster. And here's the big reason I recommend meal planning beforehand is because you now have a specific grocery shopping list, and it is based off of a healthy meal plan. You are going to be much less likely to buy junk food, to buy processed food, if you already have a healthy meal plan that you are excited about and you know exactly what you need to get at the store to make that meal plan happen. This can also help cut down on that overwhelm feeling because, let's go back to my sour cream example. So let's say you need sour cream for your meal plan this week. And so you're going to the dairy section, you're trying to eat healthy, right? You're getting real food, you want nutritious food, and you need sour cream. Well, you don't have to sit there and read the labels and ingredients of every single thing in the dairy section. You just need to look at the sour cream section, right? And you can read the ingredients and labels of a few different brands and make your best choice for that one thing and not feel like you have to research and figure everything out in the dairy section all at once. So it helps you to break it down a little bit at a time and make that experience less overwhelming. Another cool benefit of meal planning is that it actually helps you save money. Instead of going to the grocery store and just buying a bunch of random stuff, you're buying things for a specific plan and you know that you will eat those. So it saves you money. It's great to go with the idea of buying healthy food and all of that, but we also need to be realistic. And for us, that does mean staying within a budget. We are moving on to tip number 4, and I think this one might be the most important one that I share. Tip number 4 is don't take home junk. I know that seems a little bit funny, but really, this has helped me so much. I have just pre-decided, before I go to the grocery store, before I step into the grocery store, I know that some of the food or so-called food on the shelves at the grocery store is just not an option for me. It is not something that I'm going to spend my money on. It is definitely not coming home with me. What is junk food? For me, junk food is processed food. Junk food is food that I could not grow myself. Junk food is food that has been so processed that it doesn't have any nutrients in it anymore. It does nothing for my body. It doesn't fuel my body. It doesn't provide any nutrients. It doesn't help me be healthy and live the abundant life that I want to live. And that's not food that I want to be taking home for me or for my family. So I really want to invite you to join me in that decision. Just know that when you go in the store, just because the food item is on the shelf does not mean it's healthy for you. And so, I literally go to a section and I'm like, wow, there's all of these chips and this chip is the cheapest, and so some people think I'm just going to get whatever is the cheapest. But I'm thinking that item right there is not even an option for me. So if I get my mind, right, set on some things are not an option, then I look at what is an option. And within those choices, that is what I will buy. Have you ever heard people talk about mindful eating? This really is a great thing to think about when you're grocery shopping. If you go to the grocery store and you buy junk food, you buy a whole bunch of processed food and you bring it home, and all of a sudden you're at home and you're hungry. Well, what are you going to pick up and eat? You're going to pick up and eat a convenience processed food item that you brought home from the grocery store because you're hungry and it's just sitting right there. And that's not mindful eating, right? So when we don't bring that stuff into our home, then we are much more likely to think about what we are eating when we're at home. Now, I know I'm saying this and it sounds very simple, and it is very simple, but I know that it's not always easy. It's not always easy to, be at home without the processed food, without the convenience food, and be hungry and think, well, what the heck do I eat? And that's when you go back to your meal plan. Decide that you're going to stick to that meal plan. And if you find yourself really struggling with lunch, then make sure you meal plan your lunches. If you struggle with snacks, then make sure you meal plan your snacks. I don't so much do it anymore, but I used to meal plan snacks because I wanted my kids to have healthy snacks, but when they would come to me and I didn't have a plan, I would, be stressed and not know what to do, or I would give them something that really wasn't a healthy option. And so I started meal planning my snacks. So you look at your meal plan, you look at your habits, you decide, what is hard for me? What am I really struggling with? And if you can meal plan those areas or just give yourself a list of, hey, when I'm hungry and I need a snack, here are some healthy snack options. I think you'll be surprised at how much that helps you. So tip number 4 was don't take home junk. Tip number 3 was meal plan before you shop. Tip number 2, read ingredients. And number 1 was shop the perimeter. I want to cover 2 more things really quickly. Tip number 5 is to vote with your dollars. So this is something that has become more important to me as the years have gone on by. But if you think about going into a grocery store, and all of the processed food options out there, those food options are there because we are buying them, right? Companies are making money on the products that we buy. And if they weren't making money, then they wouldn't make those processed junk food, products that are sitting on the shelf. So think about that. I mean, if you want better options in your grocery store, if you want better options in general, then you're going to have to vote with your dollars, right? And so when you choose the healthier option and you stop buying those all those products that are really lacking in nutrition, then you're sending a message to those companies saying, I don't want this food and you're not going to get any money from me on this. And the reverse is true. When we spend more money on healthy food, it also sends a message to say, hey, more people are spending money on these kinds of food. Let's make more options of this. Okay, I have one more tip. I don't want to leave this whole episode on a really idealistic note. I want to leave it on a really practical and realistic note. So my tip number 6 is really just to be reasonable and be realistic. I honestly struggle with this. I can get very idealistic about what I want our lives to look like for health and for eating and for meal planning and all of those things, especially in the beginning when we were transitioning to eating whole, healthy foods. I could be tempted to go to the produce aisle and get like 5 bags of kale. And then, I would bring them all home thinking we're going to eat 5 bags of kale this week. And they would go to waste in my refrigerator. And I hate wasting food. So I soon learned to be more realistic and more reasonable. Yes, I want to buy food that is healthy for my family, but I want to buy food that they will actually eat. So I know we already talked about meal planning, but really go back to tip number 3 and meal plan before you shop. Make sure that you are making food and meals for your family that they are actually going to eat. That is really the best meal that you can make, is a healthy meal that they will actually eat. So even if you could get to like 5 meals a week, that your family will eat and enjoy, and you have to keep repeating those until you can find some more. I mean, that would be fantastic. Imagine if you could feed your family 5 healthy meals a week. That would be wonderful. But if you are new to this and they are new to this, then we need to be reasonable, right? And make meals that we're actually going to eat and enjoy so that we don't waste food, we don't waste money. So I don't want you to listen to this podcast and go to the grocery store and buy 5 bags of kale, because you're probably not going to eat 5 bags of kale this week. I want you to go to the store. I want you to shop the perimeter, read the ingredients of food that you're not really familiar with. If it's in a box, if you haven't thought about ingredients on that product before, read the ingredients of those products. I want you to meal plan before you shop. I want you to pre-decide that you are not going to take home junk so that when you get home, you can eat mindfully. I want you to really enjoy shopping and buying those healthy foods, knowing that you are voting with your money when you shop. And just be reasonable and realistic. You know what your family likes, you know what you like, and what will actually be eaten in your home. So don't stress too much. Just enjoy the process of learning and be proud of yourself for trying this whole new thing of eating healthy. I started daily wellness because Going on a health journey with my family has been amazing, and it's been such a blessing, and I'm so thankful for where we are at now. But I remember the struggle of the early years. I remember the feeling of overwhelm in the grocery store, like I talked about, and I want to give you a boost. I want to help you fast forward through all of the struggles that come with starting something new. And I hope that this episode has really helped you wrap your mind around going to the grocery store with healthy living, healthy eating in mind. I am cheering for you. I hope you get to try one of these tips this week. And if you have another tip that I have not mentioned, make sure you reach out to me. I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.